Kevin Hincks, co-host of Fast Market, joining me right now. But we'll start with the tariffs. There's so much news, but the big news here is that you have a court ruling that President Trump and his administration couldn't really impose those unilateral tariffs in the way they did. Some of your thoughts, some of the reaction in the market?
Good morning, Nicole. Yeah, the markets jumped yesterday afternoon when this ruling came out. A three-judge New York panel ruled that President Trump's 10% tariffs, the 25% tariffs, all were beyond the scope of his power. Now, obviously, the Trump administration is going to appeal them. They already have. This is, Scott Bessent was, or not Scott Bessent, Kevin Hassett was out this morning talking that they have other avenues. They're going to appeal this, and they think it'll go to the Supreme Court, and they'll do well on tariffs on the ruling there. So this chapter is not over yet, but certainly a little bump in the road for the Trump administration and their tariff policy. What does this do for negotiations? Hard to say, but we'll watch this to play out over time. But the futures, combined with the Nvidia earnings that you'll get to in a moment, the futures and the overall ruling by this three-member New York panel has futures higher this morning. Though, if you notice, they're off their highs pretty significantly here. Futures currently up only 0.74 on the E-minis, 1.25% on the NASDAQ. Off the highs, but still strong based on Nvidia and this ruling, Nicole.
Yeah, I mentioned that because when I woke up this morning, I saw the major averages up over 1%. So, it's notable off the highs, but still holding on to some gains. As we look at the markets here, I mean, we've had the good news from Nvidia. And what else is playing out in your mind here as we're seeing tech here up 1.25%?
Well, remember, and we talked about this yesterday, Nvidia is going to affect so many names in this group of names that are higher. So I think I'm looking at Amazon up. I've got Amazon up about $3 and change pre-market. I've got Google Alphabet up about $1.80 pre-market. I've got Tesla up $8.50 pre-market. So all these names linked to Nvidia and linked to chips and AI. I'm sure Meta will be higher, Microsoft, Google Alphabet that I just mentioned, they're all going to be higher. So this is going to be a magnificent 7 rally day here, at least to start the day, right? There's still a lot to play out here because Jensen Huang did, have some cautionary tones about competition from China and Huawei and how we need to compete better with China. So there's still a lot of news to go through, but we also got a nice revision from GDP, from down 0.3 to down 0.2. So a little better there. Jobless claims, 240,000, about a 14,000 uptick in jobless claims at 240,000. So market consuming and digesting a lot of information. And so far, up about 0.8% on the E-mini, Nicole.
Yeah, uptick in claims. I saw something about confidence pertaining to CEOs pulling back a bit in the second quarter of 2025. But this news from Nvidia really propels the market or holds up the market. There was actually, I saw an image and it showed the whole stock market, and then it was on almost like what looked like a toothpick, and that toothpick being Nvidia, holding up the whole market. And how Nvidia goes, so goes the market. I mean, Jensen Huang certainly talked about strong demand and getting the Blackwell chip ready. And, the big picture certainly seems good news, and that he's still really very much the leader when it comes to tech, semis, and such.
I think it's interesting. You're right. Nvidia is what's driving the market today. But why is Nvidia driving the market? Because Meta platforms, Tesla, Microsoft, Amazon, Google Alphabet, they're all buying, spending CapEx on chips, on GPUs. So, you're right. Nvidia is the beneficiary. They're selling the picks and shovels of AI to all these firms. But it's all these large cap tech firms that are fueling Nvidia's earnings and driving the market higher. So AI is really the story. Nvidia, just a massive beneficiary. Why? because they basically have something close to a monopoly when it comes to these AI chips. AMD is competing, but it's really a one-horse race here in terms of AI chips, Nicole.
Yeah, and I'll add in, as you mentioned, AI. We have on CEO of C3 AI on here on the network all the time. Has anybody looked at C3 AI this morning? So while we're seeing Nvidia up 6% this morning, that's nice, right? People like seeing above $142 this morning. Why don't you take a look, folks, at AI? That's the ticker symbol of C3 AI, and that's jumping almost 17% this morning. Isn't that nice?
Nicole, I think that what this says, or what this resets, is we are still very early in the AI cycle. Everyone's trying to figure out what inning we're in terms of AI, and is competition going to come in? Eventually it will, but it looks like right now Jensen Huang with really positive comments about their demand for their products and what's going on in AI. Remember, when large cap tech came out with earnings, all their CapEx was either stable to higher. Now, some are guiding, like Microsoft did, that fiscal 25 will be slightly less than fiscal 24, but still, AI spending. And remember, Nvidia took an $8.5 billion hit from chips not being able to sell to China and still put up these numbers. Pretty impressive, Nicole.
Yeah, understood. All right, Kevin Hincks, it's great to see you this morning. We'll continue to watch the reaction on the heels of the court ruling, but stocks are higher. The dollar's holding steady in the 99 range. Gold is up about $14.